Welcome to Fort Fisher, North Carolina. It is a Civil War National Historic Landmark located about 20 miles from Wilmington. The site contains a museum and a trail. In 1862, Colonel William Lamb began strengthening the defense of the fortress by expanding it. This is a model of people doing work during the construction. More than 500 African Americans, both free and enslaved, worked with the Confederate soldiers to help with construction. Fort Fisher is mainly made of earth and sand, which helps in observing the shock of heavy explosives, like the one seen in the picture. The sea side of the fort was equipped with 22 guns. The land side was equipped with 25 guns. There was a telegram office to receive communication and a hospital. Fort Fisher was important to the defense of the Cape Fear area. Fort Fisher kept Federal blockading ships at a distance from the Cape Fear River, protecting Wilmington from the attacks and ensuring relatively safe passage for the Confederate naval travel. Wilmington was the last major port open to the Confederacy and the destination of steamers called blockade runners, which smuggled provisions into the southern states and supplied General Lee's Army of Northern Virginia. These ships traveled from Bermuda, the Bahamas, and Nova Scotia, where southern cotton and tobacco were exchanged for food, clothing, and ammunition from British traders. The first attack happened on December 24, 1864, to Fort Fisher. The Union fought for 2 days against Fort Fisher by sea, but gave up because they had made little progress and they thought the fort was too strong. The second attack happened January 12, 1865, when the Union bombed the land and sea face of the fort. On January 15th, the Union infantry assaulted the land side and had hand-to-hand combat for several hours, until Federal troops captured the fort that night. The Confederate Army evacuated their remaining forts in the Cape Fear area, and within weeks the Union forces overran Wilmington. Once Wilmington fell, the supply line of the Confederacy was severed, and the Civil War was soon over. 2 major battles were fought in Fort Fisher, and many Union soldiers received the Congressional Medal of Honor for their participation in fighting. Today, only a few mounds remain, since much of the fort has been eroded by the ocean. Fort Fisher was involved in World War II after a unit of soldiers was moved to the fort from Camp Davis. Fort Fisher had better living conditions and smaller mosquitoes. Fort Fisher was used as a training site until this unit was sent to Normandy in Europe, where they fought the Battle of the Bulge. This is a map layout and structure of the fort. It was very complex, but now much of it has been taken over by the erosion of the ocean. After touring the inside of the museum, you'll see outside there are many trails. One of the main attractions of the trails is the Armstrong gun, which is a rifle cannon that was used by the Confederate soldiers. It became a war trophy for the Union. This is a replica here, and the original is located in the United States Military Academy at West Point. This was the largest cannon used at Fort Fisher. As we walk along the trails lined with trees like this, there are many signs to stop and look at. Many of them are reminders of the first attack and the second attack. There is palisade fencing around the trails that has been restored. The original was used as defense to keep invaders out. This lines the edge of the Cape Fear River.